So this is our first time that we're doing, oh, here we go, where we are doing live both on LinkedIn and, oh, hang on. Here we go. And so
I can hear you.
I just double checked. We're live. We're live and we're
Yay.
proud and we're and for those watching, see, Jen and I are testing out some different software. So you might notice we go back and forth. I see you a little broken up with your we're testing.
See,
so give us
I can see you. You look broken up from my end.
Well, listen, like we have talked about the fact that perfect is a hinge at all. So we're learning, learn with us, and
yes.
bear with us as to share, and we'll get this figured out at some point. But we are excited to have another. This is third Beyond the Page chat. I'm loving it, Jen. Are you?
Yes. I'm liking it. This is really fun.
Yes,
now, can you see, are we live on LinkedIn? Because I have LinkedIn pulled up and I don't see us live.
I believe we are live. But hold on. You never know. Hold on.
I'm looking.
We're not. Now we will be. I'm learning to. Oh, this is so fun. This is what it's nice to have somebody.
There we go.
Is it working now? Do you see it on that end?
Yes, yeah. I got the little pop-up saying it was going live, so it should be good.
Okay.
Technology, right? It's good and it's crazy.
As authorprenuers, you and I, we have to learn all the things. We were just talking about the fact that I CEO retreat this past weekend, and I made a funny joke to my dad about how in the C-suite on a vacation, a little 3-day trip, and he's like, "Oh, well, it's the CEO, the CIO, the CFO, and the program director," and it just so happens that all of that is one person. That because you and I navigating the technology and stuff is priming. This is something we're.
Yeah.
This is authorpreneurs you're learning. So, anyways, I'm so excited that we're chatting again today. And like I shared before live on LinkedIn when I thought we were live, this is our third Beyond the Page chit chat, and started to listening to the feedback of individuals who are listening and chatting with us. And so today's talk focused on a question that somebody had from a previous one. So if you're watching in lifetime or in on the have a question, we want to talk about it. Like we want to talk about things that matter to you. So tell us because we get excited to help moment exactly. So anyways, like we've talked, Jen and I both work, for those of you who may not have listened to any of our stuff, we both work with authors just in different, and you help authors come to the page, and I help authors on the other side. So we thought it would be, on the page or fun because, it's like we need to make up a joke, that an editor and a book marketer walked into a bar one day. Or in our sense, it would be a coffee shop. What's your mug look like today, Jen?
Yes. So I don't know if you can see, but I live in Orange Grove country, and this is an old Orange Grove label. It used to be like Summit Groves, and there's a guy. Apparently, our mountains don't actually look that much like this, but there's a guy on horseback going up the mountains. What that has to do with oranges, I don't really know. You can see the color of lipstick I got on today too. But you know what's funny about this? We were talking last time about which way the handle is supposed to go on your mug. So this also, I think maybe when you have coffee mugs, your mug, the picture's supposed to face you. Maybe?
Yeah, I think you're probably
because if I hold it right-handed, it faces me. So, anyways, but I'll hold it this way because I think
always,
this is cute.
Right, as a lefty, I'm always in, and I don't get to see it. I have to mug and then reflect. I'm going with my usual
today. They should just put it on.
I pray one.
Yes, they should just put it on both sides. Like,
I don't know.
Put it on both sides?
I'll have to next week use my new kitty cat mug that I got, and what I love about it is it's cute on both sides, but when I'm drinking it, there's a little saying inside the mug. Liquid goes down.
Cute.
I can read it.
I
Of
love
course
that.
it says perfect.
Of course. Like, why
I
would
love
it
it.
not say that?
Happy. I know. I know. So that makes
Well, and
the
that's the whole
lefty girl.
point, right? It should make you
Yes.
smile. You should have something that makes you smile.
Yes.
I'm drinking Earl Grey again. I already had my coffee, but I actually this morning I was
Mm.
kind of like, I probably should have a second cup of coffee because time change is not my friend.
I
It
hate
takes
time
me like a
change.
week. Terrible. Maybe
I'm a
we'll get.
farmer.
Apparently, we're supposed to get rid of it. Yes.
I was
The
gonna say
cows
I'm a
don't know the
farmer.
difference. Your chickens
No,
don't know.
move on. They don't know. Move on. The world
I don't
needs
know.
well, little kids. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Yes.
It stresses me
Right.
out. Oh yes,
Disruption.
no,
Just too much disruption.
uh-huh. On Monday I felt like I had, partied like when I did in college and I don't do that
Yes.
anymore.
Right.
There was nothing,
Yeah,
no
we're just a
fun.
little old for this.
Yeah.
No. And,
Yes.
it's just really hard to recover your sleep. It just is very disruptive. And I was talking about this with all the young adults that live in my house, and that it's not that it's just one night, but like for the whole rest of the week till you get adjusted, you're waking up an hour earlier according to your
Right?
body the whole
Right.
week. And so it's just a long adjustment period. And that just doesn't seem like that's healthy. If you work really hard to have a good sleep routine, shaking it up is just, so I don't even care
World.
about changing the clock.
Right.
We have a clock in our kitchen that's really high up, and literally I never change it for the 4 months that we're standard time. I just let it
You
be, because
just
what's
leave
the
it
point? You have to get a ladder out.
with it.
You have to get a ladder out. Yeah, who cares? It's going to be correct in another 4 months. So, but then I noticed the batteries were dead on it, and I don't even know what time it says now. So I have to get my
Oh my
son to get up there
gosh.
with a ladder, fix it. But
You know what though?
yes, if we got rid of it, life would be easier.
But yes, and I see Danielle listening in today. So Danielle may or may not have noticed this in some of
Hey,
your recent photos.
Danielle.
Hey Danielle, she said she is so ready to listen in. Danielle, I
Love it.
like take a picture, post it, whatever. But she wants me to send a photo, a link of the kitty mug. But you just
Yes.
talked about a really tall clock. Jen just had the chance to meet up with some buddies of ours that are in the coaching program. And before we went live, I said, "You're really tall." I said, "I noticed in the photos you're really tall." And she goes, "Not super tall, but 5'8". And I was a fun, fun thing because I'm only 5'2". But when you talk about do the clock, in my mind, I'm like, well, Jen, you can reach it because you're so tall.
Well, we have that part of the house has 15-foot ceilings. So
oh, you're not that tall.
No, it's way up above the refrigerator, so it definitely requires a ladder. Yeah, it's probably that piece is probably 8 or 9 feet off the ground, so definitely not. But
oh yeah,
and he's got to have something to do, I mean, I got to give him some work. So anything that remotely looks like it could be physical labor, I just say, Josh, you have the most muscles in this house. You should do this job.
Now, I was sharing with family of really, really tall people, like, and you do too, but like I have cousins that are 6'8". And it's fun going to the grocery with my family because everybody else is like me, is really short, and then they will just randomly start staring at my dad, and my dad's like, "What's going on?" They're like, "Can you get that jar down for me?"
Yes.
But you know what? But I do always say, as a really short human, I say, listen, and I love you, Jen, so I don't it, but when it hits you first, when I fall, when we fall, it's at a shorter distance. There's a couple
there's a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
There definitely are.
Yes,
I can reach the top shelf things though, so if you need me to get you something, I can grab it.
She's your girl. I love it.
I do though. I do often get things off the top shelf at the grocery store for people, because I have not only that, I have very long arms. Like my arms are like longer than proportional to my body. So I actually put that in a book one time. I had a character which she got teased. And nobody ever has called me this, but in the book, I had this character. People would call her Monkey Arms, and she was very conscious, very self-conscious about that. But she could always get things off the top shelf. So,
yeah. Well, I never got called any of that. I'm really tall. Like I think that's her height, and she was always called bird legs because she had super skinny legs. She was really is my mom. People they're mean. We're not mean,
I know.
but they're mean.
And it's especially about things like your body, like you have any control over what your body looks like.
Exactly.
No,
Come on.
What you're born with. You get your genes. You didn't get to choose that. So just make the most of it.
Focus on the things. Because my oldest son is 10 at the moment, and he is very uncomfortable about it. He wants to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
And tall genes are in your genetics, and I always tell him that I'm a recessive gene. Get hung up on that. Like, it'll be
right.
You can't control that. I said focus on the things that you can control and let go of the things you can't. That's there's thing you can't control that.
Well,
move on.
And here's some hope. My brother, who's 6'6", he up until 9th grade was the shortest kid. Both of us were shortest kids in our classes up until about 9th grade. And I grew like 5 inches in my 9th grade year. And I ended up, after that point, becoming the tallest. And then I kept growing after high school, which is really unusual for girls. I grew like another 2.5 inches after high school.
Oh my gosh.
My brother didn't stop growing till like his late 20s. So there's hope. Like sometimes if you're more of a late bloomer, it can be a while before you actually hit all of your height. So you never know.
But said is focus on the things that you can control, the things, and let go of the things you can't. It's a great
it is a great segue.
It is. It's book talk.
Yes.
Because whether you are writing your promoting it, I always say don't get stressed out about things that you can't. There are things you can't control. Like you're not going to make everyone happy. Right. You're not going to reach everyone. There's some things that are just out of your control. Don't spend energy on that, folks. You can. 100%.
Yes,
always.
This is true.
Always.
So much of the book process is really out of your control. There's a lot you can control, but how people react, what they say, reviews, all of that stuff is really outside of your control. And there is a lot about the book writing and publishing process that can really get into your head if you're not careful. And you do have to really be careful about what voices you're letting in and what ones you're not. I've seen a lot of authors just kind of get taken out at the knees by really ridiculous reviews or just an offhand comment somebody made. Even editors can really, if they're not careful, can really destroy somebody. And that's just really bothers me when I see that happen because it's not necessary. And with any artistic endeavor, you're putting your heart and your soul out there into the public, and it's very risky. And then to have people kind of stomp on that is like, it's heartbreaking. And so when you are going on the publishing journey, you want to make sure you have people around you who are going to be supportive and encouraging and give you good advice and not be contributing to that stuff, which is really sad and upsetting. I hate it when that happens. And I hate hearing when people have gotten that kind of stuff happen to them.
Well, that's probably one of the big reasons why many authors move forward with promoting their book quickly. And I mean, that's the topic,
right?
Go time. And the reality is like you please don't wait to market your. I think we're concerned about what us. What will they say about us? What feedback will we get? And is that the negative people are going to be negative no matter what. So don't for you from Wins Promotion. I recently did a workshop and three places of where authors might be, and I thought those would be the 3 spots to kind of and have this topic kind of hinge around. For a moment, Jen, let's talk to the authors who are like writing right now, and I think that might be the that asked us last week, when should they start promoting their book? For you guys, market your book from the first day you start writing. Like, don't not. I mean, as an author of multiple books, Jack, bringing people on the book journey with you is marketing, and people find that interesting. It helps build. It helps bring followers, creates demand, right?
People are very curious about the writing process. I mean, writing a book is one of those things that so many people, like, I don't know, over 80% of people say they want to do. Most people never will, but they're fascinated by the idea of it. And so when you are sharing your process, it doesn't have to be anything big. Just like, you know, hey, I spent an hour staring at my blinking cursor today.
Right.
People can appreciate that. But it's also a great time when you're in it to grab all those little wonderful quotes and those little nuggets and maybe give people a little sneak peek of what you're thinking about or ideas or questions you're wrestling with. While you're in the midst of it and you're thinking about it, it's a great time to kind of make a separate document of all those little notes and things that you can share. It's going to be wonderful during the book production time because your formatters will love being able to, you know, pull out some of those wonderful quotes, but you can use them to share with social media. You can use them to talk about, depending on how big and far and wide you want to go. But it's also a great way. I tell people, get a simple website and start collecting email addresses. Because anytime someone says, oh, that's so interesting, you're writing a book. Sorry, I got to turn my space heater down, frying my leg.
Fried gin legs.
do not want a fried leg. Send them to that, collect their email address while they're interested, and then you have the ability to reach out directly to them. Hey, guess what? My book's releasing next week, or here's an advanced copy. Would you be interested in reading it and writing a review? Being able to reach your fans directly is so powerful. You don't want to have to rely on the vagaries of social media and changing their algorithms, and all of a sudden nobody sees your post anymore, you know. And certainly once you start selling your books, none of the retailers give you that information. And so having your own base of people that you can contact directly, it's just never too soon to start that. And people will say, well, I don't really have anything to say. It's okay. It doesn't have to be much. They're just excited to find out about whatever's going on. And so you can share the process with them.
Cool.
And
like, I have found
they do.
People, and listen, I think we're all awesome. I think we're all cool, but people think that authors are very interesting. And so sharing that journey is intriguing to them. I mean, I wrote like 80 to 90% of my first book, one particular Starbucks, and I call it the magical Starbucks because like, in there. Really, like, story for another day. That's crazy stuff that has happened in this Starbucks. Take photos while I was in there. I'd be like, I'm in the Starbucks today, and people would start to go, "Oh my gosh, can we meet up at the magical Starbucks?" Or, you know, tell me about it. Like, who have you met today? So it was people found the authoring process just as the book itself. So start today. Don't wait. And don't just slowly start talking about it, right? Like, in your head, don't focus on perfection, you know, like weird internet issues like you and I are having right now, like stop you, right? Like, keep going.
Yes.
And
just think about it like
Daniel's comment. Did you just?
Yeah.
I think you two are super cool and agree. Thanks, Daniel.
Danielle's a wonderful fan too.
Yeah,
so
she's a great fan.
She tells me when she's reading my books, and I love that. That's super exciting.
It's amazing.
And I will say, when you're talking, you know, about your book, just do it like you're talking about to your friends. Like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, or like you're not necessarily an expert on all things and every single question about this particular topic you can answer. No, you're just sharing your journey, just like you would talk to a friend about it who says, hey, how's the book going? Right? You just a little things. Does not have to be a big deal. And I think you're right, people just love that behind the scenes stuff, which is really fantastic. And just let them know. And because people really do want to support you. I'm always surprised when people are asking me what I do, and I tell them, and I have bookmarks in my purse. I have business cards for business conversations, but people ask me what I write and I give them a bookmark because I mean, they're never going to remember the name of the book and blah, 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 right? But if you're a reader, you love bookmarks, right? You have bookmarks all the
love
time.
bookmarks.
And so I give them out all the time. I mean, they're not very expensive to produce, and you can just give them to people all the time. And so when people ask me that, I just say, hey, well, I've got bookmarks, and I'll give them to you. And it always is amazing to me, people who will be like, oh, cool, I'm going to go get your book. And that's just awesome because now you're having a conversation. I didn't have to like sell them on, oh, you need to have this book, but they just expressed an interest, and I was able to just say, hey, this is what it is, and you can go find it. And bookmarks are very one of those things I recommend to people. Just grab them. They're super easy. You can hand them out to people. You can leave them. A lot of places will let you leave them, like at your library or things like that. A lot of places will do that. But anytime people ask, then you've just got something to give them. Hey, this is what I'm working on. And it just make sure you've got your information on there. How can they get to your website? If you've got a freebie to give away, and we can talk about freebies. Freebies are great things to give away.
Put it on the list. I was actually just thinking, you mentioned bookmark. I think, what are the top 3 materials we probably that you will want to have ready?
Okay.
See, we're coming. I saw we've got somebody else who's just popped in. JE. What did I miss? You missed all the things. No, I'm just kidding. We were talking about how awesome and cool authors are, but really what we're diving in today is when should you start writing? And we just finished up. You start writing. Don't overthink it, but start talking about it. The second author kind of where the author might be journey that I thought, Jen, we could talk about is when you decide that you are ready to. So some authors, when you get to that place, I think they start taking the author journey seriously. Okay, I've got a publisher, or I'm self-publishing, or I'm traditionally published. So making that decision, another really great time to start talking, because now you're really wanting to drive energy towards the book's release date. You want to kind of, I'm a big fan of launch teams. It's something that I help authors pull together. Leverage a launch team or a street team, and the way to do that is to start talking. Start marketing. You notice I don't say the moment your book launches. I'm when you just publish, and that usually is a couple months before the book comes to fruition. You've got to there, and because when your book launches, you really want to get your ducks in a row. Although, don't fret if your book has launched and you haven't marketed. I've told you about the banana thing, right, Jen? Like I've said, banana.
No,
it's not going to ripen. And have I?
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
It's not going to ripen. Yes, but say it because it's good.
Be disgusting. Same thing with marketing.
Never expires.
It does. No. Expires. Start marketing now. Absolutely. So the third group.
So true.
I tell people too, speaking of launching, and publish it and launch it, they don't realize is they're actually launching this. You got to focus on like sales tax and books and things you didn't know you needed. That's another great time to start marketing, because you have to keep momentum going. I had to tell me that the best feedback she ever got is don't ever get out of launch mode. And what that really means as an author is don't ever stop marketing. Now, it doesn't have to be like, but like what you and I were talking about, know what you're doing. They're interested in the journey. They want to know about your characters. They want to know how you're using the book. Like, just don't ever stop talking about it.
Yeah, you don't want to get to the point where you're like, well, I launched, and so now it's just going to take care of itself. Because there's just so many books out there and so much competition for your attention, Netflix, Hulu, whatever, right? I mean, there's a million podcasts. I mean, there's a million things that are competing for your audience's attention. And so it's nothing bad. It's not like, oh, your book, like you said, it's not a banana. It didn't go bad. But they just, it's out of sight, out of mind. And so a lot of times you just want to remind people, and it may feel to you I mean, I will say that for myself, I often feel like, oh, I feel like I'm talking about this all the time,
You're
especially
not.
during
People
launch.
would
But honestly, if you're not, they don't know, and it doesn't even really register. If you think about someone was saying, how many emails a day do you get like from Target in your email box or whatever, right? Anything that you've ever signed up for, you just, whatever, if you're not interested, you just
move
delete
on.
it and move on.
Yep.
And I think that's the same with this too. Social media or whatever, people just scroll on by. I mean, they're just not, if they're interested, they'll stop, but at some level, you're kind of getting into their subconscious and they're being, oh yeah, that's right, they have the book out, I need to go grab that. And so it doesn't
Couple
seem,
times
it's
telling people.
way more to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, in the world of marketing, we're bombarded with messages on the regular, so you have to talk about it a couple times. The other
Yes.
is there's a world of people who like to lurk. So just because people aren't engaging or
Yes.
commenting on your post or the outreach doesn't mean they're not watching. Somebody this week who is on the working on pulling her book together, and she said something to me. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize I watched you the whole time you were bringing your first book, and like I was so proud of you and secretly jealous because I wanted to be doing that. It was so fun to watch, and I didn't know that. So it 4 years ago. So it's just when you talk about it, you don't know who you're inspiring along the way.
You have no idea.
Okay,
you have
so
no idea.
You don't. You don't. Okay, so we like to, I know we've got 3 minutes. We'd like to, wrap up with what's a book us is reading right now and what's a key takeaway. I don't have the tangent because it yeah, so I get the, like you, we get the chance to work with authors before
Love
come
it.
to fruition. And this particular author is she is dynamite. She is full of all this. And I'm not going to give too much away because she's not ready like to go in launch mode, but her book is about being a person that sees the abilities of what you can do versus the things that hinder you from moving forward. And there was one line as I've been reading her book that I underlined. There were several, but this one particular, it says, you choose what you can do. You choose what you believe you can do. Really like sat with me because I thought you were so right. Like in a world of limiting beliefs, in a world of, well, we were talking about earlier, like how people are going to react and respond. At the end of the day, you're the one you're marketing your book today. You're choosing if you're holding it back. You're the one choosing if you bring your book to life. You're the one, choosing what you're with your book, what's next. So remember, kind of savor in this feeling and moment of realizing you are of wherever you go. And then that feels very
so powerful, freeing. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It hit home for real
I love
to me.
That.
And I think
that is really cool.
Regularly. Yeah. So we were.
I agree.
If anybody's listening to tuning in later, then we want to know. I want to say this now again. Jen and I are keeping. Today's topic is based on a question somebody brought up last week. So if you have a question, either DM either one of put it in the comments related to this, or yes, we would love to hear your questions. But Jen, drum roll, what are we talking about next Wednesday? I'll let you talk about it.
So next week we are what are we talking about? I wrote it down, and where did it go? The power of feedback. I'm so glad you remembered. See, time changed. My brain does
You
not
need your
work.
Caffeine, girl.
I need another cup of coffee. Yes, the power of feedback. All through the whole process, feedback is really, really important. And people that give bad feedback or can really take you out at your knees, just like we were talking about a little bit earlier. Sometimes you get people pushing back on you. That's not helpful. How do you handle that? So through the whole process, we'll talk about what kind of feedback you want to be getting, what's good feedback, what's bad feedback, and how to handle that. So I love talking about that. So that's what we'll talk about next week. So I'm excited.
I'm excited. And someone just made a note in the chat. A question we need to add to our list is, how do you promote globally? doesn't seem like enough. And it's a good thing, probably JE, it's because we need to work on your author platform. He is just one little piece of the pie. So we'll put that on. We'll talk about that. Awesome. All right, Jen.
I love it.
Can you give me a toast to another win? We did it. Yay.
Yes.
Here's to
We
next
did it.
week.
Yay.
Here's to next.
Yes.
Hold on. I'm pulling up our little slogan on how we wrap up. We're going to remember this by the end of
One of
Authors
these days, we'll get it together.
have power. Your book has power, and so does your message. We are inviting message to the page and beyond. Thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you.
It's so fun. I love doing this. This is great.
I do too. I love it. We'll see you next week. Bye.